Well, welcome along to the next episode. You've spoken clearly, so I shall keep nattering myself instead of using the AI man. Today we're going to be removing the rear axle. We're going to start with the tops of the shocks. So we're going to be using some oxyacetylene, heat up the nuts, and then undo them. Then we'll go underneath and springs, spring hangers, those that are still attached. See if we can drop the whole thing off. Now, normally I would remove the prop shaft first, but at the moment we can't actually rotate the prop shaft because the rear axle brakes are very effective. So let's just get into it and see how we get on. Oh, I've got my trusty fire extinguisher just in case disaster strikes. There we go, that's that lit. Let's see if these will come off, shall we? Oh, easy, look at that. There it is. Oh. And just lift those off. And that's our first undone. That's lovely. And go and do the other side. Same procedure. I'll just put the felt out. There we go. Now, moving on to the fixings on the rear spring hangers, we notice that the two bolts, or the two nuts, are different sizes, and one of them is a nylock. I think someone has been here before us, but let's just get it removed so we can get on with the more exciting bit. Again, just hit it. I don't think I'm going to reuse this nylock nut, you know. I think that should do for that. And a second nut. So we're using lock nuts as in two of, and we're using lock nuts as in one of them is a nylock nut, but the other one is not. So now we can change our socket over. And get that top nut removed. Right. Now, let's go and get our big hammer. We have our big hammer. Are they going to move? That's kind of a no. They are not going to move. So I suppose we're going to have to heat it and melt the bushes. And then it will move. Now all that's holding this spring on are these 4 nuts on the U-bolts around the axle itself. Let's see if they will just come undone using the rattler gun. The answer is no. So back to heat. So there we have it. The spring is on the floor, and the only thing holding the axle is the retaining strap in the middle there. So I'll go and do the same to the other side, and then we can start to drop the rest of the axle, and then we can get to all the nuts and bolts to remove the prop shaft. Now, when I got to this side, back was about the same, but I found this strange contraption. I'm going to call it a front spring hanger. I'm going to call it that because the front spring hangs on it. So, we've got an extra nut and bolt to undo. So, let's get on. Now, just in case the health and safety police are watching, if this was an operational vehicle, I would, of course, have removed the fuel tank before waving a very hot flame next to it. And I would also have removed this brake pipe as well, because neither fuel tanks nor brake pipes put up very well with being blown up. So I've said that now, that's my health and safety thing for the day. As you can see, both the springs are now disconnected. Bit of a struggle with the front spring hanger, the one that's not meant to be still attached, but never mind. I've also disconnected the handbrake mechanism, which has left potential for that to turn, which allows us to disconnect the prop shaft. Same over here. Now, getting to that nut tucked down there was quite interesting. We had to use a flexible drive like that, which of course you don't use with an impact tool at all. So I didn't film that. All we need to do now is disconnect that brake union and that handbrake connector, and then we'll be able to just drop the Oh yes, of course, we've got to undo the prop shaft, now it can move. But then we should be able to just drop the axle down, put it inside, and get a large amount of weight off the somewhat fragile rear end of the vehicle. Now, we're obviously not going to reuse the steel brake pipes. We're going to make some nice new ones when we reassemble it. But the union itself we want to keep. So I think the safest option is just to split this nut up here to remove the union. There we go, good noise. And that nut is now split. Next question is, do I need to split the other side? Or will it now turn? Access being what it is, which is none, we're working. There we go. Good. Lovely. And then we'll just cut these two very knackered brake lines. And that's that bit done. Right, so as you can see, here's the main pin that we're going to be removing. I've already cut through the split pin that holds it in place. So we're going to give that some heat and then we're going to tap it out. There it comes. Just using the second hammer as an anvil to stop the vibrations. There we go. Disconnection point 1. And now we're going to move around here. There is the nut that we're now going to remove. We hope. Right. Well, either that's a miracle nut or the diff's been leaking onto it, so it's actually not rusty. And I'm not sure about the miracle nut theory there. The leaky diff theory seems to be more realistic. But whichever it is, it's helped us. there is that one disconnected. Keep it safe above the axle, and then we can move on to seeing about the prop shaft. Right, so we've set up this prop to stop the prop rotating. We've got one spanner on one end, and we've got two on the other end to give me some extra leverage, because these are always tight bolts. Turns out that the film taking up is the only one that's willing to be undone from this end. So as you can see, they're all still there. So what I've done is I've undone the four at the top, and we're now going to cut through the retaining straps, which are the only things, I think, left holding the axle onto the vehicle, and then we can drop it down and see if we can remove it with the prop shaft. Then we'll have better access to those prop shaft nuts, and we'll try and get the prop shaft off. So, theory states that when I lower this jack at the back, the axle should come down with it in a smooth and graceful manner. Well, that certainly went down, didn't it? Technically that's off, but as we can see, the shock absorbers are still in the body. Well, axles are quite heavy. Right. There's what they want, and there's what I want. And this is one of those where I want wins. And there we have the axle no longer on the vehicle. You can see as we move in, well, I've tried quite desperately to remove that one, and I sort of went, if they don't want to come off, I'll leave them on for now. Anyway, let's get this indoors. So the axle has arrived indoors, ready for further work. And as a little bonus, while I was at the back, I took the fuel tank off. There was only one bolt left holding it in, so I thought, why not? Anyway, that's about it for today. The chassis, what's left of the chassis, has breathed a sigh of relief and said thank you very much. See you next time when we'll be looking at removing weight from this end.